What's up guys, Positive here, and today I would like to talk about a game that truly surprised me, a game that no one in the fandom really expected much from, but it ended up being arguably one of the strongest titles in the series. The game I'm talking about is of course, like Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which I will refer to as Yakuza Gaiden from now on because the title is way too long. And if by any chance you still haven't been in this game, note, this video will include spoilers, so please leave now and come back once you're finished with the game. Now, let's begin. Before talking about the game, I would like to give you a little background in regards to the game's release so you can understand my and many others' expectations from the game. From the start, the game was marketed as a spin-off entry, leading us to infinite wealth, showing us what Kiryu has been up to after the events of 6, and from the start we were told that it will be a much smaller game. For me, the idea of not only doing a solo Kiryu game, but bringing him in a big way after 6 in general was a bit worrying. 6 served as a perfect conclusion to his story at the time. I did believe in RGG, yet I was still skeptical. However, I was really interested in seeing Kiryu in a refined post-Judgment Dragon Engine combat. So overall, my expectations on the game were that it'll be a decent title to play while waiting for infinite wealth, but nothing more. As time went on, we got more and more info on the game, eventually finding out from an interview that the game was originally planned as a DLC for Infinite Wealth, with them later deciding to make it into a separate game, and it was done in 6 months. This reaffirmed my worries regarding the game, so imagine my surprise after I finally got my hands on it. This time, Kiryu has access to 2 styles, Yakuza and Agent. Yakuza style is unlocked closer to the end of Chapter 1 and is basically a refined version of Kiryu's combat in Dragon Engine. It feels much better than it does in 6 and Kiwami 2. The other style, however, is completely new and it is extremely fun. Agent style is something Kiryu picked up during his time at Daidoji. It's much faster style that focuses more on crowd control thanks to various gadgets. Joryu has 4 gadgets in his arsenal. I'm terribly sorry, I will never do that joke again. Please don't kill me. Each gadget has its own purpose and helps Kiryu control the crowd. For example, you can use Spider to throw enemies around, Firefly to attack several enemies at once, Drones to keep them in check, and Serpent to escape the encounters altogether, or rush into them. The game encourages you to switch styles and adapt depending on situation. However, I did find myself using Agent style a lot more. Combat focuses on beating large crowds of enemies, which is mostly why I used Agent style more. Much larger than usual. I didn't notice that you don't rely on hit actions as much as you do in other games. Overall, it's probably the most fun I had playing as Kiryu. Both styles feel great, even if Yakuza's style can seem slow at times, mostly at around the beginning of a game. And the 2 of them cover all the needs you might need during your encounters. The combat is great, but what else is there to do? The game has 3 locations you can travel to: Sudembori, a small portion of Ijinsho, which do have your usual stuff you'd expect, like the shops, various minigames, and sub-stories, which are now tied to Akame Network. Karaoke has 1 new song, Sayonara Silent Night, which is our first Christmas song in the franchise. It is an amazing song, and it's also extremely surprising that only now we get a Christmas song, considering most Yakuza games actually happen during Christmas holidays. The returning songs are good as well. We also get a remix for a song from Ishin, and the full version of Like a Butterfly, featuring Akame. The main side content of the game, however, is found in the 3rd location, the castle. It is the Colosseum. The which is basically a perfected version of Clan Creator minigame from previous Dragon Engine games. You have your usual one-on-one Coliseum fights, but you can also have big brawls where you lead a bunch of people into a massive squad-on-squad brawls. These fights are fun, despite their own share of problems. I'm looking at you, Third King. I freaking hated that fight. But the main selling point of the Coliseum is the ability to play as your buddies. All of the teammates you acquire are playable and have unique styles. Even if they're not as fleshed out as Kiryu's, it's still really fun to play as Sugiura, Kaito, Majima, Saejima, and even Daigo. Yes, for the first time in the franchise, Daigo is playable. Overall, when it comes to gameplay, this game offers a lot of things you can do, and all these things are really fun. This chapter, as well as the next one, includes spoilers, so this is your last warning. If you still haven't finished the game, leave. This is by far the shortest story in the series. Doesn't mean it's bad? Not at all. On the contrary, I think it's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite stories in the franchise. The story revolves around Tojo and Ami dissolvement, ending with that segment and greatly expanding on it. There are several new characters, however. There are 5 characters we should specifically look at. Those are Hanawa, Akame, Tsuruno, Nishitani III, and Shishido. Hanawa is Kiryu's manager and his only friend in the Daidoji faction. They go through a lot together, especially in the early game, and you genuinely believe in the bond that they built up as you go through the game. Akame is a character you meet in Sotenbori, who quickly becomes a fan favorite. She acts as your main source of sub-stories while also helping Kiryu occasionally in the main story. As you help her grow the Akame network, your bond with her grows, and you find out more about her character and get to participate in various minigames with her, such as darts and karaoke. Tsuruno is Watase's right-hand man, and you can see why. Tsuruno shows great respect to Watase and goes to great lengths to accomplish the task given by him, going as far as rescuing Kiryu and Hanawa from certain death and getting Kiryu to help with Tojo and Ami dissolvement. Homari Nishitani III is by far one of the worst people we encounter in this franchise. He is truly a psychopath that enjoys seeing people suffer. Most characters are genuinely terrified of him, and for good reason. We're not only told the terrible things he has done, but are also shown them through Shishido and the castle, where people who lost everything while gambling are turned into slaves as well, and they fight for hours entertainment, and Nishitani enjoys every single second of it. And finally, Shishido, who I can confidently say is one of the best antagonists in the series. He is a Yakuza who believes in strength above all and acts as a foil to Kiryu. While Kiryu tries to run away from the Yakuza life, Shishido embraces it. Kiryu understands the current situation and decides to help Daigo and Watase, while Shishido refuses to accept it. From his childhood, all he knew was the fact that strength stands above all. Because of his strength, he was able to rise up from the lowest possible point after suffering for years and being broken. This tattoo shows a lion and peons. Lion showcases Shishido's strength, while peonies represent his weakness. Peonies are a safe haven for lion because they kill the parasite who would otherwise, if left unchecked, would kill the lion. In my opinion, peonies represent Ami, as well as the Yakuza lifestyle, without which Shishido will lose everything, because the Yakuza hierarchy is built around strength, and strength is everything for Shishido. We also encounter Shishido in every chapter of the game. He starts out as an enemy, destroying Kiryu's obedient shell and bringing out his true self. Later, he becomes an ally And at one point we even think that his interaction with Kiryu changed him for the better, but as we see later down the line, that wasn't the case. Shishido becomes an obstacle yet again, by joining with Nishitani and trying to prevent Watase from arriving at Omni HQ, and even after failing, he comes back for one last attempt to stop the Omni dissolvement. It is also pathetic how, at the end of his story, he returns to the darkness that he sought to escape through the Yakuza lifestyle by being abducted by the Daidoji. If you want a much more in-depth analysis on this character, I highly recommend Gokudoni's video on him. I'll leave a link in the description. I could talk about the scene that happens after the final battle for a long time, however, I would not do that. All I'll say is that it is one of the strongest scenes in the franchise that you have to experience for yourself, because talking about that scene will not do any justice. Honestly, Kuroda deserves a reward for that performance, because it might be his strongest performance yet. The music in this game is truly something special. In my opinion, this game has one of the best soundtracks in the series. There are a lot of genres for every type of listener, from more techno style to hard rock or metal. Every song just fits the situations they're made for and are a great listen by themselves. In short, they go hard. And as I mentioned earlier, we finally got a Christmas song. However, there are some songs I'd like to specifically mention. Firstly, the two Kiryu themes. Obedience, as the name suggests, is his agent style theme. I think the name represents the fact that Kiryu has become an obedient soldier of Daidoji, in between the events of 6 and Gaiden. The song itself has techno elements which could represent Kiryu's reliance on gadgets and strategy when using this style. Bring It On the other hand, is the complete opposite. The name could suggest Kiryu breaking his persona as a Daidoji agent, which is supported by the fact that first time we hear it is when Shishido provokes him to fight like he used to, ending up in Kiryu using his old fighting style. The song itself is slower and much more aggressive compared to Obedience, showing Kiryu's in-your-face approach when using this style. And this can be said about boss themes as well. They feed the characters perfectly and allow you to understand the characters or the situation. However, there are two specific themes, in my opinion, that are miles better than everything else in the soundtrack, which is insane to think of considering the overall quality of the game's soundtrack. As you could have probably guessed, these two songs are the ones presented during the final fight with Shishido in the Omi headquarters. Not only are they amazing songs in their own, but they also perfectly capture the fight going on screen by telling its story. The fight starts with Deadly Struggle. This is one of the hardest songs in the series, but it also shows that Shishido might be one of the strongest adversaries Kiryu has ever faced. After all, he was shown to take both Majima and Saejima on his own, after being badly beat up during the fight on the construction site. It also shows the fight for the future of Yakuza, with Kiryu and Shishido representing different sides. Kiryu understands that Yakuza cannot continue to exist in the current world, while Shishido is clinging to that lifestyle with everything he's got. However, as you get closer to beating Shishido, finally breaking the window and falling outside, the song naturally transitions to another one, called Hakanaki no Yume, which can be translated to a fleeting dream. And the title is perfect. We are seeing Shishido's dream of getting to the top of Yakuza world slowly but surely fading away, and it is only a matter of time until Kiryu defeats him, putting an end to his dream and Yakuza as a whole. The song itself is beautiful, as well rivaling my personal top 3, consisting of A Scattered Moment from Kiwami 2, Destiny, and The Duel from Lost Judgment. And finally, I would like to talk about the end credits song, titled Fading Away, a song featuring vocals done in-house for the first time since Yakuza 4, if I remember correctly. In my opinion, the singer here is supposed to represent Kiryu. The singer sings that everything has changed and no one remembers him. He's fading away, yet he still loves the person he's singing to and prays for their happiness.
Days go by, everything has changed. Nobody knows me, remembers me anymore. I'm fading away, even I don't belong to you. Those days are far behind, but I pray you're happy now. Serenity in your mind, I'm leaving right now.
Lyrics represent Kiryu thinking about how his life has changed, how he's slowly fading away at Daidoji, and he probably isn't even remembered anymore. Yet he still prays for a happy future for his kids. While many people think that in the song he talks about Yumi, in my opinion he talks about the kids. And this is supported by Kiryu's motivation for dying as well as his actions in the game. Then the chorus doubles down on the information presented before.
Losing my name, nowhere to go, but I can't stop loving you. Told you no goodbye, such a precious heavenly life. I'm only breathing in your memory. I'm fading away.
Kiryu has lost his name, he has nowhere to go, yet he cannot stop loving his children. He told them no goodbyes. The precious heavenly lie is Kiryu dying in order to protect them. He is only breathing for the same reason. The next verse states,
Hold you in my arms, such a precious heavenly time. Reliving our touch, can't let it go. It keeps on pulling me back. Told you no goodbye, such a precious heavenly light. In my head, there's only regrets. Should have made a life together instead.
Here we can see that Kiryu might be regretting his decision. Every day he relieves the moments with his children. His head is filled with regrets and he wishes he could have been together with them instead. Afterwards, the chorus repeats. In my opinion, the song gives us a great look at Kiryu's mental state during his years at Daidoji, in between 6 and Gaiden. It's a slow song about a broken, sad man who only leaves for the sake of his loved ones. As I already mentioned before, this game was a pleasant surprise, since I did not expect anything from it. Gaiden managed to give us a compelling story with great gameplay and characters, despite its smaller scale compared to previous games, while also delivering the best Coliseum and one of the best soundtracks in the series. It honestly became one of my favorite games in the franchise despite some of its flaws, like the lack of New Game Plus, and I would highly recommend it to everyone who for some reason still hasn't played it. Thanks for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to smash the like button and subscribe to this channel, since I plan to make more content on Yakuza and other things I like. You can also follow me on Twitter. My name's Positive, and I'm out. See ya!